Neoclassical was built for rooms with height to spare and space to waste. This apartment has neither, and it doesn't care. 9 rooms, 40 square meters, one style that was never supposed to fit. Let's go inside. The entryway is where neoclassical usually announces itself loudest, and where a small apartment usually gives up first. There isn't room for a console table, a mirror in a heavy frame, and a runner rug without the space feeling like a hallway pretending to be a foyer. So the choice here is reduction without loss of gesture. One piece, a slim console with a fluted leg, carries the classical reference alone. A single mirror, framed but not ornate, does the work that a gallery wall would have done in a larger entry. The symmetry that neoclassical depends on is preserved not through matching pairs, but through a single centered composition. The style survives the compression because it was never about how much was there. It was about how deliberately the few things present were placed. The living room carries the most weight in any neoclassical space, and it's also where the size mismatch is most obvious. A room built for a formal seating arrangement, a fireplace as anchor, and ceiling height that lets molding breathe. None of that is available here. What replaces it is a single anchor strategy. One element does the work that 3 or 4 would have done in a grander room. A fireplace-adjacent wall treatment, or in its absence, a single piece of furniture with unmistakable classical proportion. A curved-arm sofa, a marble-topped side table, placed where the eye is meant to land first. The molding, if present, runs at a scale correct for the ceiling height actually available, rather than the scale the style traditionally calls for. Getting this wrong is the single most common failure in small neoclassical spaces, importing proportions from a reference room that was never this size to begin with. A formal dining room is one of the clearest casualties of small space living, and neoclassical's relationship to formality makes this room harder, not easier. The instinct is to recreate a dining room in miniature, a smaller table, smaller chairs, the same formal layout at reduced scale. This usually fails because formality reads through proportion and gesture, not through literal miniaturization. The better approach treats the dining nook as a single formal gesture rather than a full dining room. A round table seating 2 to 4, one classical detail, a pedestal base, a chair with a carved back, and table styling that references formality through material rather than quantity. One set of correctly weighted flatware, a single centerpiece, rather than a full formal table setting that would overwhelm the space it's actually sitting in. The kitchen is the room where neoclassical is most likely to become pastiche, where fluted cabinet fronts and brass hardware, applied without restraint, start to look like a costume rather than a style. This is the room most in need of editing. The version that works treats the kitchen as functionally modern first, classically referenced second. Cabinetry stays simple in form, but one material choice, a marble or marble look counter, a brass tap, carries the entire classical reference for the room. Hardware is chosen once and repeated consistently rather than very decoratively. The kitchen doesn't need to perform neoclassical the way the living room does. It needs to acknowledge it, briefly, and get back to being a kitchen. This is the room neoclassical was never designed to accommodate at all. The style predates the desk, the monitor, the cable management problem. It's also the room where the gap between the style and daily life is most visible if handled carelessly. The workspace corner works when it borrows exactly one classical gesture and lets the rest of the space be quietly, unapologetically functional. A writing desk with a turned or fluted leg, positioned where light falls correctly for work rather than where it photographs best. Everything else, the chair, the storage, the technology, is chosen for function first, with material and color kept consistent. If any room in a small neoclassical apartment can carry density, it's this one. Books, framed prints, small objects. The reading corner is where accumulated detail actually supports the style rather than working against it, because neoclassical has always had a relationship with collected, curated objects. The difference between this working and becoming clutter is curation, not restriction. Every object present should have a reason to be there. Height, color, material, that connects it to the objects around it. A single armchair with a classical silhouette, a small side table, and a controlled cluster of books and objects arranged with the same attention to hierarchy that governs the rest of the apartment. This is the one room where more is appropriate, as long as more still means chosen. The bedroom is neoclassical turned private, quieter, less performative than the living room, because a bedroom's job is rest rather than reception. This is usually the easiest room in the apartment to get right, precisely because it asks for less. A bed frame with a classical headboard silhouette does most of the work alone. Bedding in a restrained neutral palette, one lamp with a fluted or urn-shaped base, and molding kept minimal or absent entirely, because a bedroom that formal stops feeling restful. The classical reference here is felt rather than announced, present in proportion and material rather than in visible ornament. The bathroom is the hardest room in this entire apartment because neoclassical's preferred materials, marble, brass, stone, meet a room that is fundamentally about plumbing, ventilation, and moisture management. Nothing about the style was designed with a small, wet, mechanically dense room in mind. The version that works commits to one material story rather than several. Marble or marble look tile in a single application, the vanity top, or a shower surround, not both competing for attention, paired with brass or aged brass fixtures used consistently. A mirror with a simple classical frame replaces an ornate one that would fight with the room's necessary function. The bathroom doesn't need to convince anyone it's a grand room. It needs one material decision, correctly executed, and the restraint to stop there. After 8 rooms carrying the weight of a style built for grander spaces, the balcony is where the apartment exhales. This is the release point, the one space that doesn't need to argue for the style at all, because it opens outward rather than needing to resolve anything internally. A single chair, perhaps a small side table, kept deliberately sparse. If any classical reference appears here, it's the faintest one in the apartment, an iron railing detail, a single potted topiary in a classical urn shape. After 9 rooms of careful, chosen density, the balcony's job is simply to let the eye rest on something that isn't trying to prove anything at all. Nine rooms, one style that was never built for this scale. What made it work wasn't fitting everything in, it was choosing what actually earned its place. Grand style doesn't need grand rooms. It needs the right decisions, repeated with discipline, in whatever size you've got. Subscribe for more small apartment style breakdowns.